Growing up in an average Asian family, there's so much thing that I have not discovered, which later on make me regret about it. One of those things that leave an incredible impact on my life is when I found out that my parents don't really understand me at all. Of course, no parent understands a child completely, but there is a point where you as a parent have to take some action in order to understand your child for their better future. My family were not a close one that talk about everything, but in some way my parents do care for me. Mostly they care about my test score more, I think. And I wasn't raised in the environment that allowed me to be a expressive person, which make a huge impact on the big day, the which college are you going day, which is a very important day for most Asian family, the one that can afford it anyway. Some say that you only live to get to that day. Like really, you would not believe something that parents make their kid go through to prepare for that day. And at that time, I found out that my parents don't really know me that well, and I'm not really doing a good job letting them know what I want to do with my life. Mainly because I really don't know what I want to do with my life. I mean, be honest here, an 18 years old introvert got very little friends, doing nothing but gaming, watching movie, and studying to the brink of depression isn't someone who know what to do with their future. That said, there are two things I have in my mind when the question about my future came up: architect and accountant. There isn't much why I want to pursue those two jobs. I always fascinated about designing houses because my dad had this architect magazine that I always read when I came to his house. Accountant is a sort of family business because my mother and father work at a bank. My brother worked as an accountant too, so I thought that they could help me if I'm having trouble with school or finding work, as they are someone who already been through that field, so they could give me some like knowledge and all that stuff. And that's it. I don't really have much thought into my future, and the pressure of being a poor Asian family don't really give you time to think and to be lazing around. So it's almost like a race, to be honest. Like that how basically Asian culture is. It's just basically a race to your death. And to say that you don't want to go to college doesn't really sit well with your parents either. College or education in general has always been the main point in Asian culture. Reject college to some parents is a sign that they will reject you out of their house. If your mother never point at the garbage man and tell you that that's your future if you don't study, you haven't really experienced the true Asian culture. And I do understand why my parent doesn't really listen to me. I cannot give a good reason of why I want to not go to college. So it just seems as I'm just lazy and I don't want to study. I just want to play video game all day, which is kind of true back in that day, but now it's different. And let me real here, college now more than ever seem like a big unavoidable trap for an 18 years old who doesn't really know what they want to do with their life. And I do wish that I could take a year off to figure out about what I want to do and all that stuff, but I was always forced to join college as soon as possible because my mother always tell me that college degree will widen my job opportunity, more like widen my job for a short. And so I went to a university of my choice. Well, not really my choice. I studied in it for quite a while and I hated it, and I stopped going because the possibility of me running straight into a stopping car with high speed is dangerously high. After showing how badly I did in my classes to my parents, and when I gave them my only answer that I could think of, they gave me the most Asian reply ever. The subject was too hard for me to understand. I'm having a hard time keeping up with the class. Just study more then. The more I insist my parents to let me stop going to college, the more study they want me to do. Ask your friend, go to extra classes, don't sleep in class, ha 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 ha. I really hate how my parents keep insisting on the idea that I don't study enough or I just making a excuse for not actually focus on the lesson, not studying, just play game all day, which is halfly true. I mean, let's be honest here. The reason why you want to learn something is because you want it, not because you have to most of the time. Even if you have to, then it's just another whole like topic that I don't really can get into. But they never think that maybe this isn't for me. Maybe I cannot keep up with the class. Maybe this class is actually hard. No, you just don't study enough. Let's be honest, you are an Asian. Keep up with it or die. It's how I feel about my parent generation being raised, which is the same as how they raised me. If you fail, you haven't tried hard enough, which make me hate the idea of trying to study even more. The first few months I went to university, I actually tried, and the more I tried, the more I cannot keep up to the point where I feel like if I try more, I'm not gonna be able to keep up with the class, and it was taking like a mental toll on me. The more I tried, the more depressed I became, just like how I studying in high school. And so I just stopped trying because it kind of logical way because I don't want to be depressed anymore. And we are human, not some telepathic alien that can understand each other just from looking at the other one. I admit it was my fault too in the whole situation, but what was I supposed to do? I was young, I was stupid, and I was really depressed. I have no social skill or understanding of how life works, so I cannot really talk back to my parents. If I were to go back then as I am today, my life wouldn't be this bad. If you're curious how bad it is, it's not that different. I lie to them that I still like doing the bare minimum on my classes. Time went on and like 3 years later, nothing changed about my life. I didn't get better at anything I want to do, and my time is running out of 4 years in college. And they will see that I don't really have a degree or anything or any sign of like a good job or something like that, and they will know that they are being lied to because of how strict they are. I guess this time it's up to me to make them understand. Hopefully, well, I mean the shotgun is still loaded, so I hope that maybe if my YouTube channel kind of became like successful, make some like I don't know $5 a month, maybe that could help me in making my parents understand of what I want to do. And that is the physical part. The mental part is kind of hard to talk about, but it goes the same to everyone, I guess. Like, bro, do you just go to your parents and be like, I have depression, and just walk back to your room or something like that, right? I don't know. What am I supposed to do? The thing about depression is the more you talk about it, the more it feels like you are faking it, or it's just something like you have a bad day, then you decided to self-diagnose yourself with depression. It's really hard to talk about it, and in Asian culture, it is worse because people doesn't have a big awareness about it, and so just like be happy, I guess. And I'm sure being depressed is not something that you can just go out and say like it was no big deal. Oh mom, I feel like killing myself. Son, I'm gonna do that if you fail the next test. It just runs through my mind from time to time. If the me in high school that was so stressed out with all the studying to the point where I would put up a dog collar on myself and walk myself up to a very big tree. What would happen if that me was just to talk about my mother? But as far as my creative, imaginative brain goes, I could never think of that situation of how can I talk about my depression to my mother, which probably not never gonna happen. So you can see how one future can change because of their lack in understanding parent, and if they cannot express themselves. Your parent might care for you, but in the wrong way will have a big impact on your life. Like the saying goes, no teaching is better than bad teaching. And I'm sorry focus on the type of parent that care for their kid but doesn't really understand them. The type of parent that don't care about the kid at all is something that I never experienced. Lucky me. So I cannot say anything about it. I just want my parents to understand my situation And I think a lot of people would want the same thing to their parent as well. But the way to solve this problem is to talk it out. It goes both ways, remember? Try your best to make your parent understand your decision, and if they don't listen to you, do the rational choice of doing what you want to do. It's your life. You make the decision that you will regret later on, not your parent make one and then you regret it. But remember to have a good reason, even a good presentation too, if you want to make things work out. Because a good relationship is one that both sides understand the other one. I guess it's not a really common thing. I guess it's just like the more common thing on Asian culture because I don't know, I saw a lot of people like just talk to their parent and they have a really successful career, and maybe you just need to talk to your parent for a really successful career. I don't know, maybe that's why I haven't succeeded yet. So like if you like it, sub if you want to. Thank you for watching the video and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.